Welcome back to Wild Woman series. Today I'm diving into one of the really powerful stories from women who ran with the wolves. It's called Vasalisa the Wise. To me, it felt like a story of sacred initiation into the journey of wild feminine, a story that maps out how we remember our intuition, retrieve our inner knowing, and reclaim our inner authority. It's a story of a young girl named Vasalisa who walks into the forest, into a dark, dense forest, with nothing but a tiny doll in her hand, and returns with a flaming skull of truth. I know. That only gives me chills. So let me first retell her story in my own words, as usual, and then we'll explore how it mirrors our own journey of wild feminine awakening. So I'm going to read it for you now. Vasilisa is a young girl whose mother is dying. So in the beginning, it starts with her mother dying, and before she passes, she gives Vasilisa a small doll and says, "Keep this with you always. Feed it when you need help, and it'll guide you." So Vasilisa keeps the doll close with her, tucked into her pocket, like a secret voice within. After her mother's death, her father remarries. You know how this part goes. A cruel stepmother and two jealous stepsisters enter the scene. Classic. So, right from the beginning, they don't like her and they mistreat her. And one day they send her into the deep forest under the excuse that the fire at home has gone out. They order her to fetch fire from Baba Yaga. Interesting character in this and very important one. She's a fearsome witch who lives in a dense forest in a house that stands on chicken legs, surrounded by glowing skulls. Everyone believes Baba Yaga will devour her. That was the plan. But Vasilisa, innocent and obedient, enters the forest anyway. As she walks, strange things happen to her. The skies change, time bends, and she meets these three mysterious horsemen, one white, one red, one black. Eventually, she finds Baba Yaga's house. The old witch gives her a list of impossible tasks. So when Baba Yaga meets her, she first thinks that, okay, why has she come here? But then she says, okay, if you want that skull of fire that you're looking for, you have to do these tasks. So the tasks were like cleaning, cooking, sorting mildewed corn, separating poppy seeds from dirt. And she was hoping that Vasilisa would fail. But Vasilisa remembers the doll. She feeds it as her mother had instructed. And each time she does, the doll helps her complete the tasks. And Baba Yaga notices that Vasilisa is not an ordinary girl. She listens well, works hard, and does not complain. She does not punish her. Instead, she sends her home with a burning skull on a stick. When Vasilisa returns, her mother, stepmother, and stepsisters try to take the skull from her, but the fire from it, from the skull, burns them down. And along with this, there lies in cruelty. Vasilisa didn't lift a finger. Like she didn't have to lift a finger. The fire did it all for her. She is now no longer an innocent girl. She has become a woman who trusts her inner fire. Interesting. Now let's go deep and understand the symbolism because this story is rich in symbolism. You need to consider that this story and all its characters are actually taking you deep into your feminine awakening, your wild feminine awakening. It's like this is your journey of initiations. This is how you need to understand the story. So Vasilisa represents that part of us that's innocent, but she's not weak at all. She's sensitive, intuitive, and deeply connected to her inner wisdom. And this doll that was given to her by her mother before she died, this doll actually represents your deep feminine instinct that lives within you. So it's like the mother was passing through that feminine wisdom, this instinctual nature. She was guiding Vasilisa to connect to her instinctual nature, this deep, wild, feminine, instinctual nature. It's the embodied soul voice that lives within you, the inner compass, the whisper of truth that never lies and always is ready to guide you, provided you open yourself to listen to it. And it guides you even when the logic fails. So it's something beyond the logic. And Vasilisa was wise enough to keep it with her. So she did not forget what her mother had told her. Like she had given this doll and She was instructed to listen to it, and she was diligent enough to follow her mother's instructions. As in the story, she listened to the doll's advice whenever she needed it. Now, I'll be mentioning a few interesting points from the story. One of the points that I really liked is when Vasalisa's mother told her to feed the doll, what it actually meant. So, feeding the doll, it means nurturing our intuition. Just like our body needs food and movement to survive and to function better, our intuition also needs regular nourishment. So, through daily acts of devotion, like through daily quiet presence, rituals, meditation, movement, breath work, shadow work, anything that keeps us in tune with our feminine soul essence. The more we feed it, the more it guides us clearly, even in the darkest forest, like the one Vasalisa entered. So we all have this doll. But how often do we feed it? Just a question that we all should be asking ourselves. And if you're someone who's on the path of embracing and healing your feminine energy, this is something very important. We need to do things that feed our intuition so we can develop this deep relationship with it and become more confident in owning and operating through our intuition. The next aspect that we need to identify through the story is the other important character, Baba Yaga, the old witch. So, Baba Yaga in this story represents a wild woman archetype that fears no nonsense aspect of the feminine energy, who doesn't care about being likable. She's unapologetic, deeply intuitive, and wildly misunderstood. Now, to those who fear the feminine, she looks dangerous. So if you think about this character and you are probably having negative thoughts, or you think that this character is something that you should be scared of, then you might need to just realize that this could be an element in you that deeply fears the authentic feminine. And also remember, Baba Yaga doesn't want to harm us. She wants to teach us, she wants to initiate us. And also, she doesn't hand over the wisdom just like that. Now, here you go, girl. You came for fire. Here's the fire. She didn't do that. So, this aspect is something that pushes you into the dark so you can find your own light. It's like she would test you before she hand over any wisdom to you. So, it's like when you're on the path of embodying your wisdom, you're not handed over things just like that. You go through different tests. Once you have understood the whole journey and completed all your tasks that you encounter during the journey, then only you find the light within you. You realize the light within you. And that's what Vasalisa also went through. She was pushed into the unknown, into the discomfort, because that's what awakens the fire. So in the story, Baba Yaga gives Vasalisa some chores to finish. She gives her some tasks. Although they sounded like, simple tasks, they were not just simple tasks. Through these chores, Vasalisa was being initiated into her deep feminine wisdom, the kind of wisdom that's so deep that it can only be understood once you've gone through the journey. Once you come out of that journey, the wisdom is fully imbibed. It's not just a concept outside of you, it's fully imbibed. Your own wisdom, your own light. So now I'm going to discuss the tasks, each task that Vasalisa was given by Baba Yaga, and each task here is symbolic. It's like a code for the inner work that we are all asked to do on the path of feminine wisdom. So here's what she was asked to do and what it actually means beneath the surface. So the first one was cleaning the house and yard. It sounds basic, right? It's like, okay, somebody's just cleaning Baba Yaga's house. But symbolically, it means purification of your own psyche. This is about clearing your own inner world, the beliefs, the clutter, the emotional baggage that we have been carrying for lifetimes, and eventually making space for clarity and truth to come through. It's like a total psychic cleanup. Now, next task was cooking and preparing food. And this is about learning how to nourish ourselves, not just with food, but with love, rest, creativity, and soul aligned care and deep spiritual practices. It's like saying, woman, feed your spirit. Now, next task is cleaning Baba Yaga's laundry. This one is kind of my favorite. So symbolically, it means clearing your emotional residues, cleaning up your inherited patterns, all the stuff that we have been carrying from our maternal lineage, emotional baggage of our mothers, grandmothers, anything, any pattern that has been holding you back from your maternal lineage. So when Vasalisa was doing this, she was literally washing out the past. The next task is sorting out the mildewed corn. Now, here's where it goes deep. So through this task, she was actually asked to separate what's good from what's bad. This is about learning to recognize what parts of ourselves and our belief system are still serving our path and what needs to be discarded. Next task was separating poppy seed from dirt. Okay, this is kind of wild. It's like impossible. How would you do that? But here it's all about deep feminine precision, the power of intuition. So it's about mastering this aspect of you where you're asked to embody this deep insight that's subtle but incredibly sharp, the kind that can see through the dark. So here you just remove all the logic and just deeply believe in your inner knowing. So here Vasalisa was being asked to sharpen her intuition. So trusting our intuition is one thing, but having a sharp intuition is another level. And of course, in all these tasks, she was guided by her doll. And finally, in the end, Baba Yaga was happy because all the tasks were done. So what she does in the end, that she gives Vasalisa this lantern, this skull of fire that Vasalisa had asked Baba Yaga the first time she entered the house. And the skull lantern itself, it represented the gift of inner sight. So in the end, after Baba Yaga's training and spending all these days and doing all the work, Vasalisa receives this fire of truth, the fire of truth that burns within you, which sees through the dark. Now, when she gets home, the family, stepmother and step sisters, they try to take the skull lantern away from her. But this fire in the skull burns so fiercely that it ends up destroying the stepmother, the cruel stepmother and stepsisters. So symbolically, what was happening in that moment? The fire of her inner knowing, her inner truth, was burning away all that was false in her life without her having to act in anger and revenge. She didn't have to do anything. So this ending represents that Vasalisa had transformed. She was deeply connected to her inner wisdom. And now she was holding the fire of truth, the kind of fierce clarity that burns away all the fake layers. So your real self can finally breathe. She became a woman with sight, one who holds the fire of her own inner knowing. And I really love what Dr. Clarissa says here in the end, that in order to grow into the wild woman, we must go through this journey, leave behind what is false, walk into the unknown, feed our intuition, pass the tests, and come back lit from within. So beautiful. Now, as I have promised in this series that I'm going to give you embodiment practice in the end, so let me fulfill my promise for this story. Now, I'm going to give you journaling prompts and then embodiment practice. Now, step one for you is journal on your connection with your inner voice. Write honestly about if you're connected to your instinctual nature or not. Do you listen to your inner voice is the question. So how strong is your connection? So in our journey, we go through multiple such initiations, same as what Vasalisa went through. But do you remember your first encounter, your first ever encounter with something like this, your first initiation? What is that story? How long did you take to create a connection with your instinctual nature? Or if you're just beginning this journey, identify how it's happening for you and acknowledge where you're at. So acknowledge the stage of your journey that you're in right now. Now, once you've done the journaling, step two would be to do a movement ritual. It's like a guided embodiment flow. So you have to play some music and connect with your body and then identify where does this little doll, your inner voice, reside in your body, and then just make a connection, a deep connection with it, and try to move with it for a while. Play some music. It's not, again, I would say, how I mentioned in my videos, it's not dancing, it's not performative. It's just listening to this deep wisdom that comes through the body. So just locate your inner doll within you. And step three is once you're done with the movement, embodiment, the third step is visualization. So once your practice is done, then I want you to take some time to sit in silence. Go into your meditation, deep into your meditation, and journey through a dark forest. Imagine you're moving through the dark forest to meet Baba Yaga. and visualize the entire scenario. And then allow yourself to meet this old witch, Baba Yaga, and see yourself receiving the flaming skull. And let this entire practice be dedicated to your physical journey from fear to fire, from silence to self trust. So, as I said in the beginning, the story for me was the story of initiation, about facing the unknown and then discovering that we are never alone. Our inner knowing is always there with us, even when we are scared, even when the path makes no sense. Vasalisa didn't resist the darkness. She walked into it. And because she did this, she came back stronger, wiser, and more whole. So, in the end, I want to leave you with this question: what part of you is waiting to be trusted? Let's begin to feed that part. Let's start listening. And I'll see you in the next story.